Hi everyone, today we are talking about the case law of G. Subhashini versus P. Lakshmibai. The issue of this case law is undue influence. Let's go to the prefacts of the case. For making the case more interesting, let's talk about the prefacts of the case. And this is not important if you are making any notes. Okay. Kanikipati Kannaya Chetty created a trust in 1847. In 1925, Pasumarthi T. Krishnaswamy Chetty was trustee to the trust. By his will in 1927, he made his wife Pasumarthi Venkamma, also known as Sri Rangacharamma, and three others as trustees and directed to debt of 1913 rupees. After expiry of three executors, Venkamma P. became sole trustee and agreed to contract with Baisani Krishnaya Chetty, also known as B.K. Chetty, to pay an amount of 1650 rupees by a transfer deed in 1931. B.K. Chetty appoints Sundaramma to manage the trustee and Sundaramma died in 1976. This case starts from this point. Let's go to the facts of the case. B. Sundaramma used to live with plaintiff for some time and defendant for some time. Both plaintiff and defendant are daughters of Sundaramma. Sundaramma went to defendant home on 1/11/1976. Sundaramma fell sick and made three documents in name of defendant on 29/12/1976. And they are a will, a transfer of trust, and a power of attorney. When these documents are submitted for registration, plaintiff G. Subhashini stated that Sundaramma was not in a condition to make a will or any other thing. Plaintiff showed that this transfer was invalid and illegal. The defendants who were successful in the trial court but defeated in the appeal court are the appellants in the second appeal. Let's go to the issue of the case. The first issue of the case is whether the appellant appeal is acceptable. It means the court checks the appeal is eligible for prosecution or not. It means here the second appeal. Whether the deed of transfer was made by undue influence. It means the will, the transfer of trust, power of attorney was done by undue influence or not. If so, whether it is enforceable. Is there any chance if these are done by undue influence, then there is any chance to enforce the documents? Whether the will is true or not. Did she, means Sundaramma, understand the nature and effect of the dispositions in the will? We get the answers to these questions in the judgment. Let's go to the judgment. Appellant wanted to determine the case as per section 103 of CRPC. Then what is section 103 of CRPC? Under this, deciding the facts of case in second appeal as the facts of the case were not properly decided in the first appeal. Appellant wanted to determine like this. And Land Counsel for Respondents argued the case was non est factum and not merely undue influence. Non est factum means a defense in a contract that allows to escape a signing party to perform the agreement. A claim on this means signing the contract by mistake. Okay, and Land Counsel for Respondents argued appellants did not submit the impugned document, it means will, to the court. Land Counsel for Respondents requested the court to draw adverse inference as appellants failed to prove the facts of the case. Prosecution witness who was living at opposite of respondent's house says that Sundaramma was in a very bad condition of health. But defendant witness 1, the attester of statement, was living near the appellant's house. He says Sundaramma was good in health and C, means testator, also known the matter written in EX B4 and B6 means power of attorney and power of appointment, and Sundaramma died without any diseases. As per lower appeal court, judgment is in favor of appellant. It means plaintiff in trial court, as opposed to judgment of the trial court, which is favor to defendants. Let's go to the principles of the case. By the facts, the Supreme Court deals with the matter of proof of will at same length in H. Venkatachalam Iyengar vs. Timmajama as the will should be proven by section 67 and 68 of Evidence Act. And then what is the section 67 of Evidence Act? It says the signature of a testator must be proven to be his or her handwriting. This can be done by the opinion of experts and persons acquainted with the handwriting of the testator. And section 68 deals with the execution of the document required by the law to be attested, and it provides that such a document shall not be used as evidence until one attesting witness at least has been called for the purpose of proving its execution, if there be an attesting witness alive and subject to the process of the court and capable of giving evidence. Similarly, section 59 and 63 of Indian Succession Act 1925 also applicable to this case. And what is section 59 of Indian Succession Act 1925? It says it requires that the person making a will should be of sound mind. Further, explanation 3.2 section 59 provides that a person who is ordinarily insane may make a will during an interval in which he is of sound mind. Also, more importantly, explanation 4 to 59 provides that no person can make a will while he is in such a state of mind, whether arising from intoxication or from illness or from any cause, that he does not know what he is doing. These are section 59 and 63. Section 63 requires that the testator shall sign or affix his mark to the will, or it shall be signed by some person in his or her presence and by his or her direction, and signature or mark shall be so made that it should appear that it was indented thereby to give effect to the writing, as a will shall be attested by 2 or more witnesses as prescribed. These are section 59 and 63 of Indian Succession Act 1925. And the other principle is undue influence, defined in Indian Contract Act 1872. And then what is undue influence? A contract is said to be induced by undue influence whether the relations subsisting between the parties are such that one of the parties is in a position to dominate the will of the others and uses that position to obtain an unfair advantage over the other. These principles are applicable to this case law. And go to the conclusion. According to the judgment of SC in VS Viswavidyalaya versus Rajkishore, the burden of the proof of facts lies heavily on appellant. But the appellant in this case has not chosen to enter into the witness box and clear the suspicion created by the various circumstances. The impugned document under which the defendant claimed their rights to trusteeship was not produced by appellants in any court. So the impugned document has not been proven to be a document executed by Sundaramma, in the sense that she understood the content and signed the same willingly. The second appeal fails and dismissed, and the conclusion of lower appeal court has been finalized and the case is over. Hi friends, please like, share and subscribe our channel Nyaya Nivedika. We will come with more case laws and judicial pronouncements. Friends, like, share and subscribe చేయండి. మేము మరికొన్ని ముఖ్యమైన కేస్ లాస్ త్వరలో పోస్ట్ చేస్తాం. మీకు ఏదైనా ముఖ్యమైన కేస్ లాస్ మీద వీడియోస్ కావాలంటే కింద కామెంట్ సెక్షన్లో మెన్షన్ చేయండి. థ్యాంక్ యూ ఫర్ వాచింగ్.